Hello and welcome to Lotus Light Teachings. Today, we're diving into an often overlooked but powerful aspect of our daily lives, the sacred energy of your bed. Have you ever wondered how the objects you keep in your sleeping space could influence your health, your luck, and even your peace of mind? Together, let's explore the wisdom of Buddhist philosophy and discover how small changes can bring profound transformations. Imagine this. It's the end of a long day. You're tired, seeking refuge in the one place meant to cradle your body and calm your mind, your bed. Yet, instead of waking up refreshed, you often feel restless, burdened, or out of balance. Have you ever stopped to think that your bed, the most intimate sanctuary in your home, might be holding onto the very chaos you wish to escape? In Buddhism, the idea of sacred spaces is deeply rooted. The bed, where you spend a third of your life, is considered a vessel for healing and renewal. It's not just about physical rest. It's where the mind, body, and spirit realign. But when cluttered with the wrong objects, this sanctuary can become a source of negativity, attracting not only poor sleep, but also feelings of stagnation, illness, and even misfortune. I remember hearing a story from a friend who struggled with severe insomnia for years. She tried everything: herbal teas, meditation apps, even expensive mattresses, but nothing seemed to work. One day, a Buddhist teacher advised her to declutter her bedroom, especially her bed. "Your bed," he said, "is the altar of your soul. Keep it sacred." She removed old magazines, clothes, and even her laptop, and within weeks, her sleep improved dramatically. She wasn't just creating a tidy room. She was creating a space where positive energy could flow freely. Today, we'll explore 10 everyday items that might be disrupting your bed's sacred energy and, by extension, your well-being. These insights are rooted in Buddhist philosophy but resonate universally, blending timeless wisdom with practical steps for modern living. Section 1. Understanding energy flow in Buddhism. Have you ever paused to wonder about the energy that flows through your surroundings? Your home, your room, your bed? It's not something we often think about. Yet, in Buddhist philosophy, this energy is as real as the air we breathe, the water we drink. It is the unseen thread connecting our mind, body, and environment. In a world of constant change and endless demands, creating a space of peace and renewal becomes an act of self-compassion. In Buddhism, the concept of energy is closely linked to mindfulness, a practice of being fully present. Everything around us, from the objects we touch to the spaces we inhabit, holds a certain vibrational quality. The bed, a place where we spend a third of our lives, is more than a piece of furniture. It is a sanctuary, a sacred space where the mind rests, the body heals, and the soul renews. But when this space is filled with unnecessary or disruptive items, it becomes a barrier to the flow of positive energy. Let me share with you a story about a Buddhist monk I once met during a retreat. He lived in a humble monastery tucked away in the mountains. His room was simple: a bed, a small table, and a single lamp. When I asked him why he kept his living space so bare, he smiled and said, "Clutter in the room creates clutter in the mind. Simplicity opens the door to harmony." His words stayed with me. He went on to explain that every object carries energy, and when we surround ourselves with things that are unnecessary or chaotic, we invite that same energy into our lives. This monk's philosophy mirrors the modern practice of minimalism, but it's much deeper than just owning fewer things. It's about intention. Each item in his room had a purpose, and each one contributed to the peace he cultivated within himself. He saw his space as a reflection of his inner world, a principle that resonated with the ancient teachings of Buddhism. The Buddha often spoke of the mind as a garden. What we allow into our minds, whether through our thoughts, our actions, or even the objects we surround ourselves with, takes root and grows. If we plant seeds of negativity, clutter, and chaos, that is what will flourish. But if we cultivate seeds of clarity, balance, and mindfulness, our garden becomes a sanctuary of peace. Your bed, in this sense, can be seen as the most intimate corner of your garden, a space where the mind releases its burdens and returns to its natural state of calm. Consider this. How often do you lie in bed, unable to sleep because your mind is racing? Perhaps it's the unfinished tasks, the lingering worries, or even the disarray around you. Buddhist philosophy teaches that our external environment profoundly influences our inner state. When your bed is cluttered with items that carry the energy of stress, illness, or chaos, it disrupts the flow of renewal. The sacred energy of your bed becomes muddied, much like a river clogged with debris. Now, think about the concept of impermanence, or anicca, one of the foundational teachings of Buddhism. Everything in life is transient. Our possessions, our circumstances, even our thoughts. When we cling to objects that no longer serve us, we create resistance against this natural flow. By letting go of unnecessary items in our sleeping space, we're practicing non-attachment, a key to finding freedom from suffering. I recall a woman who attended a mindfulness workshop I facilitated. She had been going through a difficult divorce and found herself holding on to her ex-partner's belongings, particularly those left in her bedroom. "I don't know why I can't let go," she admitted. Through guided meditation and reflection, she realized that these objects were physical manifestations of her pain, her unwillingness to accept change. When she finally cleared her bedroom, she described feeling an almost immediate sense of lightness and clarity. "It was like I could breathe again," she said. This is the power of aligning our physical spaces with the energy we wish to cultivate within. Modern minimalism, often celebrated for its practicality, shares surprising parallels with these ancient teachings. At its core, minimalism isn't about owning less. It's about living more intentionally. When you apply this to your bed, you begin to see it not just as a resting place, but as a reflection of your relationship with yourself. A clean, intentional space encourages restful sleep, clearer thinking, and a greater sense of harmony. Buddhism also emphasizes the importance of mindfulness in daily actions. Something as simple as making your bed each morning can become an act of mindfulness, a ritual of care that sets the tone for your day. It's not just about tidiness. It's about showing gratitude for the space that supports you, the place where you find solace and healing. As we navigate the demands of modern life, it's easy to dismiss these ideas as abstract or impractical, but they are profoundly relevant. In an age of overstimulation and constant activity, creating a sanctuary where we can recharge is not a luxury. It's a necessity. By treating your bed as a sacred space, you're not just improving your sleep, you're nurturing your mind and spirit. Ask yourself, what does your sleeping space say about the energy you allow into your life? Is it a reflection of peace and renewal, or does it mirror the chaos of the outside world? These questions are not meant to provoke guilt, but to inspire awareness. Awareness is the first step toward change, a cornerstone of Buddhist practice. When we align our living spaces with the principles of mindfulness, simplicity, and balance, we create an environment where positive energy can flow freely. And as that energy flows, it nurtures not just our physical well-being, but also our emotional and spiritual health. In closing, let's return to the wisdom of the monk who said, "Clutter in the room creates clutter in the mind." Your bed is a sacred space, a sanctuary where you can practice letting go of physical clutter, of mental burdens, of anything that no longer serves you. It's a simple yet profound act of self-love, a way of honoring the life you wish to cultivate. And so, as you lay down tonight, take a moment to reflect. What can you remove from your bed, not just physically but energetically? What would it feel like to rest in a space that truly supports your healing and growth? In these small acts, you'll find the seeds of transformation, a garden where peace and wisdom can bloom. Section 2, the 10 items and their energetic impact. It's fascinating how the objects we surround ourselves with carry stories, energy, and meaning, sometimes without us even realizing it. The things we leave on our bed, a space meant for rest and renewal, often bring unintended vibrations into the most sacred corner of our home. In Buddhist philosophy, everything holds energy, and the presence of these energies influences our well-being. Let's walk together through this exploration, reflecting on how seemingly simple items can disrupt or enhance the harmony we seek in our lives. Shoes, the external energy we carry in. Imagine a pair of shoes sitting at the foot of your bed. They seem harmless, don't they? But think about where those shoes have been: the streets, crowded places, and even stressful environments. Every step you take leaves an imprint, and every place you visit leaves its subtle energy on your shoes. In Buddhist teachings, the energy of the external world is often viewed as chaotic and overwhelming. When you bring those shoes into your bedroom, especially onto your bed, you're inviting that chaos into a space meant for peace. A friend of mine, a busy professional, once told me about her struggle with restless sleep. She'd collapse into bed after long days, her shoes often tossed carelessly beside her pillow. It wasn't until she began keeping her shoes outside her room that she noticed a profound difference. "It's like my room feels lighter," she said, "and I feel calmer when I step inside." Her story reminded me of how physical clutter mirrors mental clutter. By keeping our sacred spaces free of external energy, we create room for mindfulness and renewal. Medications, the subtle weight of illness. Medications are a reminder of our vulnerability, our body's battles, and the illnesses we're working to overcome. While they are essential for healing, their presence on the bed can serve as a constant reminder of imbalance. In Buddhism, the mind state deeply affects the body. Keeping medications visible in your sleeping space might unintentionally reinforce feelings of weakness or worry. I once met a cancer survivor during a mindfulness workshop. She shared how she reorganized her living space during recovery. "I moved my medications from the bedside to a small drawer," she said. "Out of sight, they felt less like a burden and more like a tool I could choose to use." Her experience taught me how the way we arrange our surroundings can subtly shift our mental state. By creating designated healing zones, we allow our bedrooms to remain places of rest and positivity. Keys, symbols of movement and responsibility. Have you ever looked at your keys and thought about their symbolism? They represent access, movement, and responsibility, unlocking doors to homes, cars, and workplaces. Placing them on your bed, however, can bring those same responsibilities into your sacred space, making it harder to relax. In Buddhism, objects can serve as physical anchors for the mind. When keys are on your bed, they may tether your thoughts to the outside world, pulling you away from the present moment. A young woman I knew once shared her struggle with anxiety. She always kept her keys on her bed, within reach. After a long day, the sight of them would remind her of errands left undone or responsibilities awaiting her tomorrow. One evening, she decided to move them to a hook near her door. "It was such a small change," she told me, "but it felt like drawing a line between my day and my rest." In this simple act, she found a way to honor her need for boundaries. Wristwatches, the pressure of time. Wristwatches, often worn from morning to night, carry the energy of time itself. They tick with reminders of deadlines, schedules, and the passage of moments slipping away. For many, watches symbolize productivity, but placing them on your bed can invite that same pressure into your rest. I once worked with an entrepreneur who described her nightly struggle with insomnia. Her wristwatch, always by her pillow, seemed to hum with the stress of the day. "It's like it wouldn't let me rest," she confessed. When she finally moved it to another room, she noticed a subtle shift. Her mind began to let go of the constant ticking of tasks, allowing her to breathe and sleep deeply. This reflects the Buddhist teaching of letting go, detaching from the things that keep us tethered to stress and embracing the freedom of the present. Bags and backpacks, carrying the weight of the world. Bags and backpacks, filled with everything from laptops to groceries, are practical but heavy, both physically and energetically. Placing them on your bed transfers the stress, noise, and movement of the outside world directly into your sanctuary. A parent I spoke to during a retreat shared how simplifying her home brought her unexpected peace. "I used to drop my bag on my bed the moment I came home," she said. "It wasn't until I started leaving it by the door that I realized how much lighter my evenings felt." In her story, I saw the beauty of mindfulness, of intentionally separating the chaos of the outside world from the calm we seek within. Food, nourishment, and disruption. Food, while essential and comforting, carries its own energy. Bringing it into a space meant for sleep disrupts not only the physical environment but also the energetic balance. Crumbs and spills might seem trivial, but in Buddhism, even small disruptions can block the flow of positive energy. A family I met during a mindfulness program shared their practice of eating together at the table, never in bedrooms. It's our way of respecting both the food and the spaces where we rest, they explained. Their practice reminded me of the interconnectedness of mindfulness and respect. The respect we show to our spaces reflects the care we offer ourselves. Used clothes, the day's energy held in fabric. The clothes we wear absorb the energy of our experiences, joy, stress, fatigue. Tossing them onto the bed at night can bring those energies into a place meant for renewal. In Buddhist teachings, detachment is a path to peace. Letting go of the day's energy, symbolized by used clothes, creates space for a fresh start. I once struggled with this myself, often leaving clothes scattered on my bed after a long day. It wasn't until I began placing them in a hamper that I noticed how much clearer my room and my mind felt. It was a small act of discipline that taught me the value of intentionality. Books and papers, intellectual clutter. Books and papers, those sources of knowledge and creativity, carry mental energy. Keeping them on your bed can blur the line between work and rest, making it harder to truly relax. A student I knew once described her journey from overwhelm to focus by reorganizing her study area. "I stopped keeping my notes on my bed," she said, "and it changed how I approached both studying and sleeping." Mirrors reflecting chaos. Mirrors are powerful objects, reflecting not only light but also energy. In many traditions, including feng shui, mirrors are believed to disrupt the harmony of a room, especially when placed near a bed. A skeptic I knew experienced unexpected tranquility after removing a large mirror from her bedroom. "It was like the room exhaled," she said. Stuffed animals, emotional ties to the past. Stuffed animals, while comforting, can hold us in the past. They symbolize attachments, memories, and sometimes even pain. Letting go of these objects doesn't mean letting go of love. It means creating space for growth. A couple I met during a decluttering session shared how they transformed their lives by releasing old keepsakes and embracing the present. As we reflect on these items and their energetic impact, let us remember that change begins with awareness. Each act of decluttering is a step toward harmony, a way of honoring the sacred spaces that support our lives. Letting go is not about loss but about making room for peace, renewal, and growth. Section 3. Practical lessons for everyday life. In the ebb and flow of life, we often find ourselves surrounded by the chaos of both the physical and emotional. The clutter on our desks, the disarray in our homes, and the weight of unresolved emotions. These all mirror the turbulence within. As I sit and reflect on this, I recall a simple yet profound truth taught by the Buddha. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. But how can we truly free the mind when the world around us feels heavy, filled with distractions and attachments? It begins with small, deliberate actions. The path to clarity, much like the Buddhist practice of mindfulness, does not demand perfection. Instead, it calls for intention, one step, one moment, one choice at a time. Let me share with you how this principle can manifest in your everyday life, offering both practical steps and deeper insights. There was a time when my own living space was a reflection of inner turmoil. Papers were scattered across my desk, laundry lay in piles, and the corners of my room collected items I no longer needed but could not let go of. Each day, I would look at the mess and feel an unspoken weight on my chest, a nagging sense that something was amiss. It wasn't until a wise friend, inspired by Buddhist teachings, asked me a question that stopped me in my tracks. "What are you holding on to and why?" This question stayed with me as I began to examine not just the physical objects in my life, but the emotional clutter I had accumulated. In Buddhism, there is a teaching on impermanence, or anicca. It reminds us that nothing is permanent, not our possessions, our successes, nor our failures. Yet, we cling to things as if they define us, fearing that letting go might somehow diminish who we are. I started with my desk. Each piece of paper I picked up felt like a small decision. Do I need this? Does it serve a purpose? Or is it holding me back? What began as a simple act of cleaning soon became a meditation. With each item I released, I felt a growing lightness, not just in my room, but in my mind. This practice mirrors the Eightfold Path, particularly the concept of right effort and right mindfulness. To align our actions with clarity and intention, we must first recognize what no longer serves us. This recognition applies not only to physical possessions but to the habits and thoughts we carry. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment, and by learning to release, we open ourselves to freedom and peace. A weekly ritual emerged from this understanding, one I continue to this day. Each weekend, I spend an hour revisiting my space, asking the same mindful questions. It is not just an act of tidying but a ritual of renewal. This practice reminds me that every object, every choice, carries energy. By aligning my physical environment with my inner intentions, I create a space where positivity and mindfulness can thrive. Take, for instance, the small act of making your bed each morning. Seems trivial, doesn't it? Yet, this single act sets the tone for the day ahead. It's a moment of mindfulness, a reminder that even in the smallest things, we can find order and clarity. I remember a Buddhist monk once sharing this wisdom. When you take care of the small things, the big things take care of themselves. His words resonate every time I smooth the sheets and place the pillows just right. There is a deeper lesson here, one that extends beyond the physical. When we declutter our surroundings, we also declutter our minds. A clear space allows for clear thoughts, and a calm environment fosters a calm spirit. This is why so many Buddhist teachings emphasize the connection between the outer and inner worlds. The Four Noble Truths teach us that life is filled with suffering, but it also provides the path to transcend it. By addressing the clutter in our lives, both seen and unseen, we take a step toward freedom from the distractions and attachments that cause suffering. Consider this. How often do we fill our lives with just-in-case items? A drawer filled with objects we might one day need, a closet overflowing with clothes we no longer wear. These things, though seemingly harmless, weigh on us. They represent fear, hesitation, and a reluctance to embrace the present moment. When we choose to let go, we are not just creating space in our homes. We are practicing non-attachment, a core tenet of Buddhist philosophy. I think of a woman I once met at a retreat. She was struggling with the loss of her husband and found herself unable to part with his belongings. "It feels like letting go of him," she whispered, tears in her eyes. The teacher at the retreat gently guided her, not toward throwing everything away, but toward keeping only what truly brought her peace. "Letting go," he said, "is not forgetting. It is making space for new life, for new love, for new growth." Over time, she found that by holding on to only a few cherished items, she could honor her husband's memory without being trapped by the weight of his absence. In modern life, the practice of decluttering often aligns with minimalism, but in Buddhism, it goes deeper. It is not about owning less for the sake of simplicity, but about understanding the true value of what we keep. A minimalist home can still feel heavy if it lacks intention, while a modest space filled with mindfulness can feel light and free. When you approach decluttering, think of it as an act of self-care. Begin small. Choose one corner of your room, one drawer, one shelf. Ask yourself, does this item bring me joy? Does it serve a purpose? Or does it anchor me to a past I need to release? As you let go, take a moment to breathe deeply, to acknowledge the act as one of renewal and growth. The Buddha's teachings on the middle way also provide guidance here. It is not about extremes, throwing everything away in a burst of frustration or clinging to every possession out of fear. Instead, it is about balance. Keep what nourishes you, what aligns with your values, and let the rest fall away naturally. As I look around my own home now, I see not just a clean space, but a space that reflects my journey. Every object has a story, a purpose, a place. The act of decluttering has become more than a chore. It is a practice of mindfulness, a way of reconnecting with who I am and what truly matters. As you consider these lessons, I invite you to reflect on your own space. What does it say about the life you are living? Is it filled with distractions? Or does it support your peace and purpose? Remember, this is not about achieving perfection. It is about taking one small step at a time, guided by intention and compassion for yourself. The path to clarity begins with a single choice. Whether it's clearing a drawer, letting go of an old habit, or simply making your bed, Every act becomes a step toward harmony. And as you create space in your life, may you also find the courage to create space in your heart, for peace, for growth, and for the joy that comes with living mindfully. In the end, the clutter we remove is not just physical. It is the weight of expectations, fears, and attachments. By letting go, we honor the impermanence of all things and embrace the beauty of what remains. So take a moment now, look around. What can you let go of today to make space for the life you wish to live? Section 4. The broader philosophical perspective. There are moments in life when we feel the weight of impermanence pressing upon us. When the loss of a loved one, a sudden change, or the end of something cherished forces us to confront the transient nature of existence. It is in these moments that the teachings of the Buddha shine like a lantern in the dark, reminding us not of despair, but of the profound wisdom that lies within impermanence. As I reflect on this, I am reminded of a story from the Buddha's life. A grieving mother, distraught over the death of her child, approached the Buddha in desperation. She begged him to bring her child back to life. Instead of turning her away, the Buddha gently told her to bring him a mustard seed from a household that had never experienced loss. With hope, she searched every home in her village, but each family she encountered had its own story of sorrow. Slowly, she realized the universal truth. Suffering is part of life, and no one is untouched by it. Through this experience, she came to understand that while loss is inevitable, acceptance can bring peace. This story speaks to the heart of the Buddhist teaching on impermanence, or anicca. Nothing in life, no joy, no sorrow, no possession, is permanent. This can feel like a harsh truth, especially when we are clinging to something we cannot bear to lose. But impermanence is not meant to bring despair. It is meant to liberate us. It reminds us that everything is fleeting, and in that fleeting nature lies the beauty of life. It teaches us to hold lightly to what we have and to find meaning in the present moment. In my own life, I have often struggled with this balance. I once found myself holding tightly to memories of a happier time, reluctant to move forward because I feared losing the connection to what had been. It was only when I began to embrace impermanence that I found the strength to let go, not of the memories, but of the weight they carried. I came to understand that moving forward does not mean leaving the past behind. It means carrying its lessons with us as we step into the future. This delicate balance between honoring the past and embracing the present is echoed in the teachings of the Eightfold Path, particularly in right view and right intention. To see life clearly, we must recognize its impermanent nature. To act wisely, we must align our intentions with this understanding. This does not mean abandoning what we love or forgetting what we have lost. Rather, it means living with the awareness that life is a river, ever flowing, and that peace comes from moving with its current rather than resisting it. I think of a woman I once met during a mindfulness retreat. She had recently retired after decades of building a successful career. Though she had longed for this new chapter, she found herself adrift, clinging to her identity as a professional and fearing the uncertainty of what lay ahead. "Who am I without my work?" she asked. In our conversations, we explored the idea of impermanence, not as an end, but as a transformation. By reflecting on the skills, relationships, and values she had cultivated, she began to see her career not as a fixed identity, but as a stepping stone to new opportunities. Over time, she embraced her new phase of life with curiosity and purpose. This ability to balance nostalgia with forward momentum is an art, one that Buddhism helps us cultivate. It teaches us that while the past shapes us, it does not define us. Each moment is a chance to begin anew, to release what no longer serves us and to embrace what lies ahead with an open heart. This is the essence of mindfulness, to be fully present, unburdened by regret or fear, and to meet life as it is, not as we wish it to be. The Buddha's teaching on the Four Noble Truths offers further guidance here. The first truth acknowledges the reality of suffering. The second identifies its cause, our attachment to desires and aversions. The third offers hope, the possibility of liberation. And the fourth provides the path, the Eightfold Path, to achieve it. These truths remind us that while we cannot avoid pain, we can transform our relationship with it. We can learn to see it not as an enemy but as a teacher, guiding us toward greater understanding and compassion. Compassion is another cornerstone of Buddhist philosophy, and it plays a vital role in how we navigate impermanence. When we face loss or change, it is easy to turn inward, consumed by our own pain. But compassion invites us to look outward, to recognize that others share our struggles, and to extend kindness both to ourselves and to those around us. In doing so, we create a bridge between our suffering and the greater web of life, finding solace in connection. I recall a moment when this lesson came alive for me. A close friend was going through a divorce, and her grief was palpable. In her pain, she felt isolated, as though no one could truly understand what she was experiencing. One evening, as we sat together, she shared her feelings of loneliness. Instead of offering advice, I simply listened and shared my own moments of loss. Slowly, her perspective began to shift. "I thought I was alone in this," she said. "But now I see that pain is something we all carry, and maybe that means I don't have to carry it alone." This simple act of shared vulnerability reminded me of the Buddha's teaching that compassion begins with understanding. When we acknowledge our common humanity, we dissolve the barriers that separate us. We see that our struggles, though unique in their details, are universal in their essence. This recognition not only eases our own pain but also allows us to support others in theirs. In the modern world, where change is constant and uncertainty often feels overwhelming, these teachings are more relevant than ever. How do we find stability in a world that is always shifting? How do we cultivate peace amidst the noise and demands of daily life? The answer lies not in resisting change, but in embracing it. By aligning ourselves with the flow of impermanence, we learn to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. This does not mean suppressing our emotions or denying our pain. On the contrary, it means facing them with courage and tenderness, acknowledging their presence without being consumed by them. It means recognizing that even in the darkest moments, there is the potential for growth and renewal. As the Buddha said, "No matter how hard the past, you can always begin again." And so, I invite you to pause and reflect. What are you holding onto that no longer serves you? What are you resisting that might lead to growth? How can you honor the past while embracing the present? These are not questions to be answered quickly, but to be carried with you, guiding your journey toward greater awareness and peace. As we conclude this reflection, let us remember that impermanence is not something to fear, but something to cherish. It reminds us that life is precious because it is fleeting. It teaches us to find joy in the present, to love deeply without clinging, and to live fully without attachment. In this way, we transform not only our relationship with change, but also our relationship with ourselves and the world around us. May these teachings inspire you to walk your path with courage, compassion, and an open heart. And may you find, in the flow of life's impermanence, the beauty of its endless possibilities. As we near the end of our journey, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. The bed, often seen as just a functional piece of furniture, is in fact a symbol of renewal, balance, and healing. By understanding the energy dynamics of this space, you've gained not just a cleaner bed, but a clearer mind and spirit. Think about the 10 items we discussed today. It's not just about removing shoes, keys, or old stuffed animals. It's about embracing the deeper philosophy of mindfulness and intentionality. Every item you keep on your bed carries an energy, a story, or a memory. By choosing what belongs and what doesn't, you're actively shaping the energy that surrounds you. This isn't just decluttering. It's self-care at its finest. I'd like to leave you with a story that ties all of this together. A friend of mine, a single mother, was juggling work, her child's needs, and a household. Her bedroom had become a chaotic storage space for work papers, toys, and even half-eaten snacks. One day, overwhelmed and exhausted, she decided to reclaim her space. She removed everything unrelated to sleep and renewal and replaced it with a simple vase of flowers. That single act transformed not just her room, but her perspective. She began to see her bedroom as a retreat, a place where she could recharge for the challenges of her life. Over time, she felt lighter, more focused, and even more hopeful. This is the essence of Buddhist wisdom: Small, intentional actions can lead to profound changes. The bed is just one part of your life, but it's a powerful starting point for greater balance and peace. Imagine what other areas of your life could transform if you approach them with the same care and mindfulness. Before we go, I have a few questions for you to ponder. What's one item on your bed right now that doesn't belong there? What might your sleeping space look like if it were truly a sanctuary for your soul? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Your journey inspires others, so don't hesitate to share. If you found this video insightful, please give it a like to support the channel. Share it with someone you care about. They might be unknowingly holding on to energy they no longer need. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Lotus Light Teachings for more wisdom, stories, and practical lessons inspired by Buddhist philosophy. Until next time, may your spaces be serene, your mind be clear, and your heart be light. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.